CNN's Mike Valerio is joining us. This is a dramatic day to say the least, Mike. What's the very latest?
John, well, this is certainly historic. So about a few minutes ago, I would say 20 to 30 minutes ago, we saw President Yoon Suk Yeol, suspended President Yoon Suk Yeol's motorcade, leave his residence and head towards the criminal or the high-profile investigative office that is trying to hold him accountable for declaring martial law on December 3rd into the very early morning hours of December 4th. So to show you the tableau, we're a couple hundred meters, John, away from the suspended president's home here in a very upper echelon district of Seoul, and he's been holed up here, John, for the better part of 2.5 weeks. And if we can report any good news, it is certainly that a violent clash has not broken out. The country was in a standoff for so many days, wondering whether or not the suspended President Yoon Suk Yeol would go in for questioning on his own volition, or if his presidential security detail would protect him and clash with corruption investigators, God forbid opening fire in an effort to carry out this arrest warrant to question South Korea's suspended President Yoon Suk Yeol about why he declared martial law on December 3rd. So, as we have been here reporting for days, we can report that the suspended president of South Korea told the nation before he left in this motorcade that he is going, in order to avoid clashes, he sees this effort as illegal. He is going to continue to fight it, but our worst fears of whether or not there would be some sort of outbreak of violence, at least that seems to be abated, at least for now, John.
Clearly, there were concerns about serving this arrest warrant on the impeached president because of what happened a week ago when his own personal security detail prevented investigators and the police from serving that warrant on him. So now he is obviously is voluntarily leaving the compound. This is that statement that he taped. We just saw images of the impeached president in that pre-recorded statement. These are live images now of the motorcade leaving the area. But I guess the question for you now, Mike, is I thought that there was a constitutional hearing coming up that the impeached president was holding out for, and there he was going to state his case.
That's right. So there are two buckets, John. There's the impeachment bucket with the Constitutional Court, and there's the criminal charges bucket. So what we are witnessing right now, that falls into criminal penalties, potentially sending him to prison for what he did on December 3rd. So there's that bucket, and then there's the impeachment bucket, which could remove him from office as soon as February, March of this year. So two different things happening. He did decide to skip the Constitutional Court hearing yesterday, the first hearing in the process of potentially removing him. And there is another hearing for the impeachment process, which is going to begin tomorrow, Thursday. So two different lanes to hold him accountable. And the concern from opponents of Yoon Suk Yeol was that perhaps the criminal bucket would be in stasis, that he would be held up in his presidential compound and not leave and not submit himself for questioning. But now it seems as though he is going to be making his way to Gwacheong, which is about a 40-minute drive away from here. It is the investigative office of the Corruption Investigative Office for high-ranking officials. And part of why, John, suspended President Yoon Suk Yeol and his supporters were saying, don't go and don't submit to this, was that his side, the far conservative side of South Korean politics, were saying that the Corruption Investigative Office was out of its league, that it could not investigate such a crime as insurrection and rebellion. They're only supposed to investigate corruption, though. Millions of other people and a whole chorus of opponents of Yoon Suk Yeol would say that he is not above the law. And this is a warrant that has been signed off by a judge, and he needs to follow that warrant and go in for questioning. So right now, we're going to see how long does he stay in Gwacheon, South Korea, a suburb of Seoul, for questioning, and what he says after, and what this means for the criminal bucket, John.
It seems this has been very well coordinated, if you like. We had the statement being released from the impeached president just as the motorcade was leaving the compound. So do we know what he said in that statement that has been played out since his departure?
Yeah, paraphrasing it, he said essentially that he does not agree with the intent of the investigators, but he's going for questioning, again, paraphrasing here, for the good of the country and to prevent clashes from happening. You're right to bring up January 3rd, John, the first time that investigators tried to bring him in for questioning, and there was the pervasive concern that his Secret Service detail, the Presidential Security Service, would potentially engage in violence, or there would be some sort of violent clashes between both sides of the equation as President Yoon was trying to resist arrest. So it seems as though he is saying that he did not want the country to go down that path that would further plummet South Korea into political chaos. But make no mistake, this has never happened to a sitting South Korean president before, submitting to arrest or being arrested and being sent off for questioning. So much history that we have seen here today. And just to check up on this backdrop, you know, I can tell you that the difference between January 3rd and now, the first failed arrest attempt, it is this funereal feel. It's more of like a funeral dirge, a funeral procession of people starting to leave and realizing that this standoff is over, John.
Mike Valerio in Seoul, we appreciate the update. We appreciate the reporting. Thank you for being with us. Just to recap,